Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Believe, better known as KevBiyi, man. And if you yourself are interested in creating your own podcast, let me show you how to do it, man. Let me give you some great advice. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. I only need two things real quick. Listen in close. Number one, it's free. That should say it all right there. But if that's not enough, number two, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means you can start making money from day one on your podcast and start putting that money to good use. So, let me give you the information. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started today. And I want to hear your podcast. Peace.
Welcome to Believe in Yourself podcast. On today's episode, we sit down with Joycelyn, the owner of Joycelyn Southern Kitchen in Orlando, where she tells her story of where she started making meals in her college dorm room and on her way to entrepreneurship. Tune in.
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I want to tell you about Unique African Boutique. It is a beautiful collection of authentic clothing, jewelry, accessories, and art that are made with the highest quality from artisans in Africa. What you get from Unique African Boutique, you can't get from anywhere else. Our entire collection is made up of one-of-a-kind pieces that promote the culture, music, and lifestyle of Africa, with care for the artisans and their families and their livelihood. Shop Unique African Boutique today at shopuniqueafricanboutique.com.
Hi. Hey, Josh, what's going on? How are you? I apologize. I was getting ready and the alarm went off. I had no idea. I thought I had plenty of time left. So give me 1 second so I can put so I can set the camera up. Give me like 2 minutes.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Once again, I'm sitting down with Mr. Josh, chef, and talking about her journey to entrepreneurship and telling us her story, how she got started, and where she is today. And in the end, I encourage everybody to visit her site, to go and follow, leave a comment, suggestions, whatever, just a little bit of support, encouragement, ask questions, just so we can continue to build this community, man. We're only as strong as each other, and as long as we support each other, man, we can get through these tough situations.
Okay. Here we go.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. How's your day been so far?
Okay, say that again. I think my Bluetooth got connected.
How's your day been so far?
I can't hear you for some reason.
I can hear you. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are you on a Bluetooth?
No, let me try. I'm gonna try to go out and come back in. Hold on.
Okay, no problem. He sometimes has technical difficulties, technical issues. I'm not gonna let that stop the show.
think, before you hear my responses. But I know you mentioned something about Juneteenth, that you knew about some things going on in Orlando, and I'm wondering if it's the same thing that, because I'm in Orlando, so I'm wondering if it's the same thing some of the people I know in Orlando is organizing. Is this the thing that Eric Garcia, or Eric is, I don't know if it's Garcia, Eric Garcia.
Don't make me lie to you. My wife actually follows the person on Facebook. She went to college with the guy, and she just told me about it. And I thought it was a really dope idea. I figured I could probably try to expand it down here to Florida. I haven't yet reached out to him yet, but I plan to. I'll send you the information once we get off the live to his page. Maybe it's the same thing.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. Just curious.
No, not a problem. We got to share the information, man. That's how we find it out. That's how we grow.
Exactly.
Awareness. So how do you feel about everything that's been going on in the country? Minus the corona, but a much more serious issue.
Minus the corona. So you mean specifically regarding the race issues?
Yes. How do you feel about the riots and the protests and just everything?
I think it's all very interesting as to watch it unfold, and just to watch, the patterns that emerge in times like this. But I feel like everything is kind of a push in the right direction. I don't necessarily always agree with the way people go about getting their message out. I'm not necessarily a person that would set up a protest. But with that being said, I'm not going to condemn the protests. I feel like they do serve a purpose. And you just have to kind of understand that there's awakening and consciousness and progress at every level. So you just kind of got to put everything into the right framework to see what progress is actually going to be had for it. So I'm happy that people are speaking up. I'm happy to see that there's some momentum, behind it. I sincerely hope, and I do my work, on my private time, that as a collective, that people can stay focused, and that we can make sure that we're focused on a collective goal. Sometimes I think, obviously, we know we're angry and upset about inequality and all of the oppression that we felt, but our goal can't just be to be angry about it. Our goal, we have to have a very tangible goal afterwards. And right now, I'm not sure if everyone's on the same page with that. So that's what I would like to see unfold.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm not the protesting type either. But I do feel like it is needed, because you have to be able to do something to build people's awareness and wake them up and say, hey, this is an issue. Yeah. And I think this time around, I don't know why the George Floyd, I feel like every other time has been just as bad, but it seems like this time the world has really jumped on board, and everybody's really pushing for this now. You're even seeing white corporations putting out posts, talking about it. It's good, but we have to use this momentum to create something. We have to do something with this momentum, not just have the protests, but something tangible has to come out of this that we will benefit from. As a
100%. Yeah.
So, just a little bit of background. I met Joss at a group that I joined a while back, and through that group we had some communication, but I've always monitored and watched her page from then since I met her, and I've always admired her hustle, different things that she does with cooking. I've watched recently she started doing some detoxes. I'm definitely into that, so I've been taking notes, watching different detoxes that you've been trying and seeing how that would probably work for my body as well. So I always like to talk to different people who are in the culinary field, because I was a vegan for about 4 or 5 years. I'm not a vegan anymore. I still mostly have a meatless diet, but I dibble and dabble here and there with meat or seafood or whatever. But I always like to see the different combinations. I just think with food, it's endless combinations, endless things that you can do with it. I'm always amazed at what you guys are able to come up with and put together. But without that little short introduction, I want you to give people more background about who you are, what you do, and where you're at now. is right now. We've been having a couple of technical difficulties. Hey, IG acts up sometimes, man. You guys know how technology can be sometimes. It's not perfect. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate your patience. This phone is, I don't know today. I got a call and it took the sound away again. So I put it on Do Not Disturb. Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Okay, no problem. But now you can give people a little bit of background about who you are, what you do, and how you got there.
Yes, absolutely. I try to keep it short. My background is very interesting, but I actually was never intending to be a chef or in the culinary world. I always loved cooking, but I didn't plan on being like having a profession in cooking at all. I always wanted to be a doctor, so that's what I was going to school for. I was on a pre-med route. I was very academic, had 2 minors. I did great in school. Like, I've always been like a nerd in that way. But at the same time, it's kind of funny now that we're having these conversations of like how Blackness can affect your outcome of certain things. So I was first generation, student to go to college. So there was a lot I didn't understand about the system of education until I got into it, and I had to put myself through school. So I had to figure out how to finance this whole thing, how to pay my bills. So I was working a lot throughout college too, in addition to having a really, really challenging workload, like above average challenging. So about my junior year, I was working full-time and also going to school full-time, and I kind of like burned out. Like emotionally, like that was a very stressful time for me. Like, and you're young at that time, so you're like discovering yourself too. So there was like a lot going on. And I ended up quitting my full-time job, and I'm like, I can't work for anybody else. Like, I need more freedom and flexibility. And I felt like I was financially kind of boxed in. So I had this bright idea that I would start this cooking business to go on this path towards financial freedom. Because I couldn't imagine putting myself through that, what I was going through, because I was planning on going to medical school. So I wasn't going to go through that for 4 more years in medical school, where I know that the cost is 3 times as high. The rigorousness of the study was 3 times as high. And I'm like, well, I haven't figured this financial thing out yet, and I don't think that I want to do that for 4 more years. So I started the business. And that was a very naive connection to make, just by the way. Like that I was going to start this business and fund my medical career. But that's how I started Joycelyn Southern Kitchen, and it was originally a soul food meal delivery service. So we weren't health focused at all. It was like fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, all of that good Southern stuff. And I would sell it to the college students near me, because I was I was around college campuses at the time. And that's how it all started. And then from there, it just kind of organically blossomed into what it is today, which is we're so far from the delivery service at this point.
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I'm here to tell you about Titan Protective Services, where they protect what matters most to you. Titan Protective Services provides innovative security solutions for apartment complexes, rental properties, and condominiums. We believe that as a family-run company, we are here to make sure your property is taken care of and protected from vandalism, theft, and destruction. Contact us today for your security needs. Visit www.titanproserv.com today, or call us at 844-39-TITAN. That's 844-39-TITAN.
Yes. So, what made you say cooking when you said you wanted to start making? Because you said you never
I started brainstorming. I'm like, well, what am I good at? And I was like, I used to always cook. Like, even in college, like in my dorm room, I would cook. I would have little dinner parties with my girlfriends. I would cook some homeboys and stuff. So that was like a natural talent for me, and it was something that I naturally like to do for therapy. So when I thought of what could I do to make money right now, my idea was like, oh shit, I could cook food and sell it. So literally, I had the idea, then the next day, I went to Sam's Club. I had a food stamp card. I bought a bunch of groceries on my food stamp card. I just started putting up flyers and knocking on doors, and like that's how it started.
There you go. Hey, that food stamp card. Don't be ashamed of that. That was the funding that you needed to get the business going.
Exactly. Y'all better learn how to use them funds.
That's capital.
The other side shows me doing it.
But was your price point good in the beginning? Because I think sometimes people might underprice themselves sometimes when they first start a business. Was yours?
I don't know if it was. I think it was, but I think also being that I was like just me, it kind of wasn't like I made a profit. Like I always made a profit. I don't know how great the margin was at the time, but I think I was selling plates for like $10 because I had to keep in mind that it was college students, so I know they wasn't to be breaking too much bread. But $10, and then I would charge $3 to deliver it, within a certain radius. So to me, the $3 would cover my, gas or whatever, and then I made sure to make the menu within the $10 budget.
Wow.
So the price was okay. It was okay. Is that a price that I would do today? Absolutely not. But I think it was acceptable at the time.
That's cool. So now you get into college and you figured it out. Now, did you finish college?
Yeah, I finished college. I graduated. I have a bachelor's degree and I have 2 minors. So actually, when I applied for medical school, I got interviewed by University of California, San Diego. I got waitlisted. But even throughout that process, there's a lot of reasons about why I didn't pursue that, which might be another podcast about, the health industry and things like that, or the medical industry, excuse me. And so, yeah, I could still go to medical school if I wanted to, and I think I probably will, but like later in life, I don't think it's necessary right now.
Okay, so once you figured out, because I don't know much about the medical industry, but from my studies of been dabbling in veganism, I knew that in the medical school they didn't really teach you guys nutrition. So that's what kind of like surprised me. I'm like, doctors are out here giving people medicine, and they don't really know that there's other ways besides just drugging me up to make sure I get better.
Yeah.
Like, guys, that why you kind of said, I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna wait a little bit on that. Was that part of it?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it, because the medical system, I kind of already knew that, like even while I was in college, I knew what the medical system was about, and that was my whole MO. I was like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to get this degree so that everybody can come to me, because they're like, now I'm Dr. Brian, because that degree provides a certain level of trust in this country. Things are changing now, starting to, but that was like, you had the MD behind your name, like you were official. So I wanted to get that just so I could get people and kind of like base switch them. It's like, I'm actually going to teach you about this holistic way of eating, but I'm using this degree to like draw you in.
Okay, that's cool. So now you finished school, you decided to put a hiatus on continuing medical school. Was the business doing that well at the time to sustain you?
No. This business still has not produced enough for me to have to pay for medical school. It'll be there soon. No, the business wasn't doing great, and that wasn't the reason. Like, that's why I said this story is so interesting, because that was the reason why I did it. But really, me going into this was like all divine timing, right? Like, the universe knows what it's doing. So I went into business for these reasons, but as I got into it, now I'm learning it's a whole different ballgame, right? So I've been an academic my whole life. Now I'm out in the field as an entrepreneur, learning people skills, learning how to maneuver, learning how to negotiate, just learning how, capital investments work and things like this, how to scale a business. So this is like a whole other college experience. You're basically going through a whole other set of courses. And I grew so much as a person. Like, I feel like my personal development really took off when I went into entrepreneurship. When you're academic, you're like, I was like single-mindedly focused on my grades. So you're not necessarily focused on other areas of development, which is all needed for you to be a complete person to complete your mission in life. So really, I changed like completely through this process. So it wasn't that the business was doing well, it's just that my perspective was so much different. And then the medical school thing became less and less as relevant as I started to align more with my purpose.
Wow, that's dope. I noticed that you started doing events. So what did you do different from the college to now, full blown, after college? From the delivery
Like how the business changed?
Yeah, because I noticed you did like some, you used to do Valentine's Day events where you like cook for order.
Yeah.
So is that a part of like doing events and cooking and things like that?
Yeah, that's one thing I do. I started an event series, which we will be doing more of those. That's one of my like babies. It's called Taste of JSK, and where I basically showcase different sides of my culinary skill set, because I do a lot of different types of food. And so I do events based on those where you basically pay a ticket and you can get, it's very fancy schmancy. Like it's a full like 4 or 5 course, spread. There's servers, you get wine. The last one we had it in an African, it's a bronze museum, African bronze museum, that has the largest collection of African bronze statues in the world. So it was like the immersive, like cultural experience with the Valentine's Day. So yeah, I love that stuff. That's cool. But that's just one thing we do. So basically from selling the plates, I went into catering mostly. So I would do things for like corporate events and, really anything, graduations, parties, whatever it was. And I offer classes, which is something that has been gotten more popular over the last year or two, which I really enjoy. So I've been focusing a lot more on classes. I've taught classes at WellCare. I've taught classes at the YMCA. I teach classes regularly at the public library here, pre-corona. Those should come back, I guess, as things loosen up. But so a lot of class-focused things, and then of course, with me being more plant-based focused, eventually the business started to kind of evolve into that too. So a lot of what we offer, like my classes are very plant-based focused. So I teach a lot of people about the benefits of it. I use my knowledge from my medical background so that they can see how it works, So now you get the science behind it, because a lot of people like to just throw stuff out there in the plant-based community, like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But I actually connect the dots, like, you should do this because this does that when it goes into your body, like the actual science of what happens. And so that's the direction we're going in now.
That's dope that you have that background, because you can add that to it. It gives, like you said, it makes people trust you a little bit more with that degree behind you. So now when the corona has hit, like, how did you pivot? What have you been doing differently since then?
What was that?
Since the corona has hit, I know you can't do as many events and things like that, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
So how did you pivot? Like, what have you been doing to...
Yeah, corona's been very interesting for me, because I actually was already pivoting away from events and catering as much. I love catering and cooking new food for people, but that's not something that I want to rely on as the main part of my business, because it's very labor intensive. It's a lot. I'll spell like that. So when Corona came, I was already kind of like working on ways to make my business like more passive income based with the classes. So like working on getting my digital curriculum launched and getting sponsorships and partnerships with that. And something that I've always offered is meal plans, but I hadn't, up until this point, it was like if you ask for a meal plan, I'll make one for you. But I didn't have like any templates laid out where you could just go ahead and like quickly shop. Like, I want a meal plan, let me just grab that. So during this time, I was transitioning to focusing on that, which is I'm heavily focused on the meal plans, which will be released soon. And I also was focused on, even before this, a food product that I want to launch. And how Corona actually affected that was I was planning on launching my product into the farmers markets around Central Florida. Like on the same day, I was going to go to all the farmers markets and start doing like that. Like literally on May 1st was my launch date. And then Corona happened and it was like, oh, May is canceled. So I had to like rethink. So I was like, well, I don't know how long this is going to affect, farmers markets and stuff like that. So I had to completely re-strategize my go-to-market, which will be digital now.
Oh, so now if people go to your website, they'll be able to get like different digital things and teach them how to cook as well?
That's on the way. So with the meal plans, eventually what I want to do is add eventually I want to do videos that basically I'm going to break down. I'm going to go through the meal prep process with you so you can see exactly like how you can save the time and things like that. And eventually I will be doing more like YouTube videos and like filming classes and things like that. But that's going to be a little bit further down the road. Right now it'll be mainly the food product, which is the coconut wraps that I'm launching, and then also the meal plans will be the two main things you can grab right now.
I see a question at the bottom. We're going to get to that question at the end. So if anybody else has questions like Arles, put them in the question box, because with the question box, I'll be able to post it on the screen so that everybody will be able to see it. So we'll answer that question at the end. So what has been your biggest challenges thus far?
As a business person, my biggest challenges, of course, I think a huge challenge for most people is access to capital, and I would say in conjunction with that was not just the access to capital, but my mentality about like the poverty mindset, the money, like how I thought about money and how that prevented me initially, because I didn't even want to go get capital at first because I was like afraid of debt,
Yeah.
So that was definitely something to overcome because I made it a lot harder for myself at the beginning by self-financing most of the business. Other huge challenges I have met as finding people and partnering people who have a high level of integrity and a high level of just competency. So it's either you're like honest and integral, but you like are kind of mediocre with your work, or you're probably good at your work, but you're kind of shysty. I haven't really found a lot of people that I'm just like, I've had to have the best of both. And I would say that.
Hey, what's going on? I hope you guys enjoying the episode. This is Mr. Believe. I just want to invite you guys to follow me on IG at KEV as in Victor, B as in boy, IYI. That's at KevBiyi on IG. If you want to catch any of these interviews live and in color. See you soon.
That's been a legitimate challenge for me. And I would say, unfortunately, you know what? I don't know if I want to say that out loud, but yeah, unfortunately, that's been quite a bit of a challenge.
I mean, I get it. You don't want to speak certain things into the universe. And sometimes I can attest with that as far as the mentality. We kind of block blessings because we just don't know any better. Because we have this fear that's been passed down to us about money and all these other things, negative things that people told us in the past. And it's just all based on fear. We can't let those things stop us. So has there ever been a time during your journey of entrepreneurship that you thought you made the wrong decision? You thought about maybe trying something else?
I've thought about that a lot of times. This entrepreneur journey is no joke, but I'm trying to think of a time specific. Actually, I would say last year when I did my event, the Valentine's Day event that you mentioned, the event itself went really well, and that was the largest scale event that I had done up to that caliber at that time, but I dealt with a lot of those people who I told you just didn't have it together, and it really affected the way that went down. It affected the way that the profits ended up looking. Wow. And I had such high hopes for that, like I put so much into it, and for it to not turn out how I wanted to was like really, really disappointing. And I shut down, because I was actually planning to roll out events like one after the other after that one, and I kind of was just like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore, because that was a lot of energy just for me to lose money, and I definitely got discouraged for a few months, and I was just like, I had to go through my little emotions.
How did you overcome that?
Well, first of all, is letting myself feel it is one thing. Like I had to really let myself go through that to get to the root of why I was feeling with what I was feeling. And I feel like that's important because you eventually come back to okay, what is the reason that I want to do anything that I'm doing? And to reconnect you with your purpose. And also help that, I have a couple of very supportive people around me who, one particular friend of mine who's also an entrepreneur. So, sometimes you have friends, they're great, but like, if they don't do this also, they won't really get it, And so this friend gets it, and she was able to provide some perspective for me and encouragement for me. And I think that was really helpful because it kind of helped me to see the other side, because I was kind of like in the darkness with it,
Yeah. So what is your why?
Yeah.
What did you go? What was your why?
My why is that I'm here to. I always thought that I was like here to quote unquote be a healer or whatever. I don't like that terminology anymore, but that's why I always wanted to be a doctor. So from a child, I was always very clear that I was here to help in some way. And to me, I naturally understood science and the body, and I was actually interested in it, so that was my way. And then I came into food, and I saw another way I could do the same thing. So what I realized, but again, through entrepreneurship, through cooking, I realized it's not just through me knowing about the human body. It's not just through me knowing nutrition. It's through the way that I handle problem solving. It's through the way that I handle conflicts. Like, I see so many ways in how my integrity and me just trying to be the best person I can be, really how it affects other people and situations around me. And so my why is that I'm here to be that in any capacity that I can. I'm here to uplift, to raise the vibration, to raise the health, if I'm going to be a part of something, I should be affecting it for the better in whatever way that appears, Specifically, I have these talents of cooking. Specifically, I'm really good at science, but, that shows up, like I say, in other ways as well.
Okay. So what would you say has been your biggest accomplishment thus far?
My biggest accomplishment. It's hard to say. I would say, can I name a couple?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think definitely throwing that event last year was a huge accomplishment for me, especially being an untrained chef to throw an event to that caliber and do it successfully and have all of my guest lists satisfied with like a high-end course, a high-end meal. That was a huge accomplishment for me, despite the money part that stressed me out. The actual performing on that level as a chef was a huge accomplishment for me. Another one was last year. I went to Art Basel and I cooked. I was a sous chef, one of the sous chefs for this Hermes event. So I was working with this like French culinary designer, very well known in the food world, cooking a French menu, which if you're in the culinary world, like French cuisine is like, that's like the one, So I was very proud of that. I performed well, especially because I had a really bad experience at Art Basel previously. And so just being able to prove to myself that I do have the skill and the talent and the ability to learn on that level to where I am literally cooking next to 5-star, chef's trainings at Le Cordon Bleu. To me, that was like a nice confirmation that, okay, like I really do this. Because, some of these chefs are trying to be kind of shady if you haven't gone to culinary. Yeah, they can be weird, but that's in every industry.
So that was Art Basel in Miami?
That was Art Basel in Miami, this last one.
Oh, man, next time you come down, I definitely got to come check you out. If you come down.
Absolutely. Have you ever heard of Lauren Vanderpool, the Queen of Green?
No. But I'm wanting to find out.
Yeah, well, she's this amazing vegan chef. She's actually the personal chef for Common, and she used to be the personal chef for Serena and Venus Williams. So really high up, and I actually got to meet her and a model for her event too. So my whole Art Basel experience was just like super dope.
That's dope. That is really dope.
Yeah.
But what are the biggest lessons you learned?
The biggest lesson I've learned is you can't do everything by yourself. Right? So you have to, as much as it is difficult, I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult to find the right people, but you have to. Some of the biggest lessons I learned is don't be afraid of debt.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Don't be afraid of credit, but learn how to use it, you know what I'm saying? Don't just be out here spending. Like, well, you have to realize that if you know how to flip money, like just like if you on the streets and you know how to flip bricks or whatever it is that you do, like if you have a plan for that money before you touch it, then it's already gold. You know, so I think some people be afraid of the money because they're like, oh, you have so many possibilities of what you can do with the money, so don't touch that money until you know this time I'm going to put this money to work to put it. And then it becomes like way more empowering and money flows way easier. And it's literally just a mindset switch that will help that money like flow to you a lot easier.
I like that analogy that it becomes like gold. Definitely you have to have a plan for the money. I think that's the biggest thing that people are scared of. They've never had that big lump sum, so they kind of don't know what to do with it. But if you have a plan for it, just sit down and plan it out, it'll definitely make it work for you. That's definitely a good key. I like that. Definitely become gold. So, how do you cope with stress? I'm pretty sure last year's event was very stressful. You probably had other stressful things that happened. How do you cope with it or prepare for those stressful times?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways I cope with stress. So sometimes I just unplug and I'm just chilling, have a glass of wine. I more or less stopped drinking, so it won't be wine anymore. But I'm all into meditation and singing bowls and crystals and all of that good stuff. You know, I think it's really good to go silent, be quiet. I mean, no TV, no nothing. Put on you some nice tunes and just kind of listen. You know, wait for the answers to kind of appear for you. Cooking is very therapeutic for me. I also do pottery. That's also therapeutic. I get a massage. So, tons of ways.
That's dope. You like to work with your hands. Gets that stress out.
Yeah.
So what is your 5 year?
Sometimes you know other things you want to do with these hands.
What's your 5-year plan?
My 5-year plan? I was thinking about that as you, when you sent it to me, and I realized that I almost like never have like a 5-year plan. I'll have like a 1-year plan, or like a 10-year plan, or like a 20-year plan, but never like a 5-year, which I think I should work on that. But if I were to say right now, my 5-year plan is definitely, I'm in progress on it, which is making the majority of my income passive, or at least the money that I need to live on needs to be passive. So I'm doing that through these meal plans expanding. You know, I want these meal plans to help roll me over into my vlogging career, where I want to travel around different places and just kind of give my reviews on things, like my own little video thing. I have 2 actually shows that I'll be doing, which is one will be just me doing cooking classes, and the other one will be me visiting different restaurants and giving reviews and things like that in my own style. So that's in the plan. To mobilize my life is a part of my 5-year plan, which is also something I'm actively working on. So I don't necessarily want to live anywhere right now. I kind of just want to move around. If I want to be in Somalia for 3 months and then Brazil the next 3 months, like I need to be able to do that. So that comes with, you know, freeing up the money flow.
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I would definitely love to be well into building my family unit, you know, within the next 5 years. So that's on the list. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, otherwise just, you know, moving my career goals. I want to see my businesses really kind of like booming on a level where it's like a corporation, where it's like I'm not the person doing the day-to-day stuff. I'm just kind of checking in, like making sure the numbers look right and that type of thing.
Definitely. Hey, I can definitely relate to that. That's definitely part of my goal. I'm similar to you. I really don't make 5-year plans too much. I kind of have a goal where I want to be at a specific time, and I kind of let the universe bring it to me. I just work towards it. You know, I don't really write it down, but I kind of know where I'm trying to go with it. And also with the traveling, man, I love traveling. If I could just live in different countries every 3 months, man, that's like a bucket list. I want to do that for like 5 years. Just travel.
Right? That would be amazing.
Oh, that's
and you can do it. Like, it's so accessible now. I mean, than any other time.
I could have definitely picked up some flights this past Corona. They was basically giving them things now. I don't think nobody wanted to take no flights. So what mistakes, if any, would you say that you wish you could have avoided when you got started?
Thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. Now I'm your host, KevBiyi, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been tuning into these episodes. And I pray, and my prayer is that everyone has been getting some type of inspiration, motivation, or even some tips and tricks of the trade that they can use in their everyday journey or lives into entrepreneurship, professionalism, or just downright living. Now, if you want some more from our guests on the show, we're eventually going to be partnering with them and bringing you some special discounted items later on. So if you love these guests and love the things that they have to offer and you would love to support and build the community, all you need to do is text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996, and let's grow this community together. Peace.
I made. You're going to make a ton. I would say overall, what I would suggest to anybody is the biggest mistake that you can make is to not take action. Like, I know a lot of people who have talked about starting business, they want to go in business, they want to try this idea, want to try that idea, but they think about it a lot, they research about it a lot, but they never really actually start selling the thing. And so I'll be and I was talking about stop researching. You can research till you blue in the face. Go out and put it to work. And I would say, rather than a mistake, I think that's one of the main things I did correctly, because I did almost no research before I started my business. I was like, I can cook, people can eat, I'm about to go buy this food. And that's how it all started. So that would be my advice overall. Yeah, do something, whatever it is.
Just do it. Hey, I like that.
Yeah, because you'll learn through the doing.
You have any other tips for entrepreneurs?
Other tips for entrepreneurs, learn how to negotiate, get comfortable with being told no. You have to get a real strong backbone. So you're going to have to really develop the way you speak, in a way that is assertive and has conviction, because people will play with you. If they think that you're kind of stumbling, you don't really know what you're doing, they can tell you're new and young, they will try to play you. So you have to have a strong sense of self and what you're doing, a strong sense of morals, because everybody is not coming from the same angle. And always keep your bottom line in mind, right? No matter if you're working with some of the biggest corporations or whatever, always have to understand what your goal is and make sure whatever they're talking about is aligning with that. And if it ain't, then pull out. I don't care what name it is. If it doesn't align with what you're doing, pull out. You don't need them to win.
There you go. I like that. Believing in yourself. You don't need those people. So now we're about to go into the this or that round. We got a lot of questions in the question box. So people who trying to put you on a hot seat, we're going to get to those after. How you feeling? So which one do you like best? Audiobooks or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Is there any podcast that you would like to suggest or that you listen to that's dope?
Yeah, I love Amanda Seals' podcast. It's called Small Doses. I love, I used to love Shaman Durek's podcast. The format has changed, but there's still lots of value there. I'm not a fan of the new format, but I would suggest checking him out. And I recently got on to Deepak Chopra's talk. I think it's called The Daily Meditation. And he has little 5-6 minute snippets of podcasts, which I think are really dope. It's just a little booster. So, yeah, I recommend it.
I like Deepak. So which app do you prefer, Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Ease of use or just you like the pictures?
Yeah, ease of use. The visual stimulation. I think Facebook has a lot going on. It's a lot of different angles.
I'm still learning.
Facebook need a lot. Yeah.
Thinking into some music. I got a couple of gospel powerhouses here. Who do you prefer out of these two? Yolanda Adams or CeCe Winans?
Yolanda Adams.
Definitely.
Mainly, it's kind of a biased answer because I know more Yolanda Adams songs, and I kind of feel like I grew up more on Yolanda than CeCe. But yeah, Yolanda.
CeCe is a little bit the older generation, I think. Because I know my mom used to listen to a lot of CeCe. I used to listen to that growing up, but I'm also a fan of Yolanda. So, which makeup do you like best? MAC baked goods a lot more than candies and things like that. So every time I go to the grocery store, there's always this debate. And depending on how I'm feeling that day, it's going to be either one of these two. So I want to know which one you choose. Chocolate chip cookies or Oreos?
Chocolate chip cookies, if they're the soft kind. Okay? The chocolate chewy. If we're talking about they're both hard, then I'm going to have to go with Oreos.
Yeah, I kind of like my chocolate chips to be a little bit soft on the softer side. I definitely would rather. The best one is the one that you get at home. You put them in the oven yourself.
Yeah, that's my delight. Those all day, every day.
Those are the top ones. So now we got some questions on the hot seat. So you can go and ask.
Hey.
How do the meal plans work for our list?
So when they are finished, you'll be able to go on to jskcatering.com/meal plans. I have one for plant-based eaters, one for meat eaters, one that's called 7 Days, 7 Chakras, which is going to be super cool. Stay tuned. One's for detox, and then there's an option to make your custom plan. And so each within those categories, you can pick a 7-day, 14, or 21-day plan. You choose it, purchase it, and then you'll get the file downloaded directly from the website. And it'll have everything you need. It'll have the meal calendar. It'll have all of the recipe cards. It'll have instructions, shopping lists, tips, and things like that.
Definitely dope.
So they also come with the 14-day and up ones come with they all come with a 10-minute consultation with me so that I can help orient you to the plan and make sure that it fits your needs and things like that.
Okay, that's dope. Definitely check those things out. Do you do healthy meal? I think you kind of answered this with your last question. Do you do healthy meal preps? Of course.
You will see when the meal plans get released. Just make sure you purchase yours.
Yes. Next question again on this. Where can we find more info about your business?
You can go on my page. My page has a lot of info about it. You can go to the page at JSK Catering. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Joycelyn Southern Kitchen on Facebook. You can go to our website, which is jskcatering.com.
Next question. What's the next step for your business?
I think I kind of answered this, but the next step is definitely expanding the meal plans and the food products and the classes on a really large scale.
Yes. You did kind of answer that a little bit. They probably asked it before you answered. Because those questions were popping up. They were popping in there. So they probably did.
A lot of good questions, though.
From your experience, what advice would you lend to inquiring minds?
Shut up and listen.
Oh, that's dope right there. And you got 2 years and 1 mouth. My dad always told me that. 2 years and 1 mouth. This last question. What is it? DIY stands for Believe in Yourself. So that's what the podcast is about, believing in yourself. And we bring entrepreneurs on here to help motivate and inspire you to believe in yourself. And that was the final question. If you guys still have any questions before we go, we still have a couple of minutes. You can still pop them in the question box. And we'll put Joycelyn back on that hot seat. Before we get ready to go, I want to say thank you, Ms. Joycelyn, for joining this podcast. Everything that you do in the community is definitely needed and welcome, and I definitely appreciate you and everything that you've done. I love watching your page and watching the different concoctions that you come up with. Lately, I've really enjoyed the detoxes that you've been doing, so keep doing those, because I'm getting ready to do my own detox here in a couple of weeks. Thinking about doing a weekend, 3-day detox, and just keep being you, man, and growing and building this community and doing what you do to support and inspire others. So thank you for that. Now, before you go, I definitely want you to tell everybody, again, because somebody didn't ask it, but for anybody who missed it and who watched this playback, where they can contact you, where they can find you, and how they can keep up with everything that you got going on or whatever's next.
Absolutely. that's the first step. So I appreciate you as well, King. In order to find me, you can connect with me on my Instagram page, which is _JustJos, JUSJOS. The business, you can go to jskcatering.com, or you can go to our Facebook or Instagram pages.
Definitely. So how do they order? Do they just hit it up on those pages?
Well, there's nothing to order right now. I'm not doing catering, really. I mean,
So they just follow you?
that's not true. That's not true. I take that back. I'm always offering services. If you want to order, if you go to the website, it gives you instructions on how to order whatever service you're looking for. Typically, you'll just send an email. So if you have an inquiry about a service, whether you want a meal prep, whether you want a private chef, whether you have a catering, or anything along those lines, if you want to, I offer individual classes. If you want to have classes done in your home, you can send an email to info@jskcatering.com, and that is where we respond to service inquiries.
Definitely, guys, visit info@jskcatering.com. Send in all your questions and inquiries. Visit her page, follow, like, and definitely send her a message. Order some food. If you guys are here watching it live, just hit that top left-hand corner. Go visit her page right now. Send her a DM. Let her know thank you. And you saw it from Believe in Yourself. Outside of that, everybody else, Ms. Joycelyn, thank you for joining us. We're going to catch you guys next week.
Thank you.
This show is brought to you by Believe in Yourself. Don't forget to visit IBelieveInMeInc.com. That's IBelieveInMeInc.com for all your BIY swag. That's I Believe in Me Inc. for all your BIY swag. And we'll see you on the next episode.